And we are now live. Welcome, visionaries, to the Vision and Vino podcast. I'm your host, Mashara Bianca. Every other week, we come on live and speak with a visionary who has identified a vision in their life and has created a nonprofit based on that vision. And so this Sunday is no different. As you know, vision for me stands for a victorious idea strategically inspired to overcome needs. So, what that means is anybody on this show has identified a need in their life and created a answer for that need. And so today's guest is no different. Her name is Abigail. We call her Abby. She is the founder of the Steps Foundation, which is a nonprofit located here in Central Florida, who are doing some amazing things and creating experiences for people to change their lives. So, welcome, Abby, to the show.
Hello.
Hi, Abby. Thank you for joining us today on the Vision and Vino podcast. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Abby, now I know you watch the show, so you know that when we start off on the show, we have to talk about what we sipping on. So I'm gonna start first because it's my show. So today, grape, because I like a good grape. Okay, love a good grape. Today, grape comes from the vineyard of Cooper's Hawk. Okay, and in honor of the governor opening up the state of Florida the restaurants will be included. I decided to have people from my winery, Cooper's Hawk. So I'm sipping on a white sangria from Cooper's Hawk. It is absolutely amazing. Abby, the number one rule on the Vision and Vino podcast is we do not judge. All right. So there is no judging on this show. So tell us what you're sipping on today.
I have my big glass. listen. So I'm not gonna judge you. Don't judge me. I got
I love it. Glass too, girl.
My red Moscato.
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. I love a good sweet wine, and there are some critics who say that sweet wine is a sweet wine drinker. You're not a wine drinker, but again, I'm a drinker. I want to drink because that's what I like, and it's wine. So boom. Yep. Okay. So if you're just joining us, go ahead and say hello. Let us know what you're sipping on right now. Type it in the comments. You have to say hello and let us know you're here because we can't necessarily see who's joining us, but we appreciate you joining us. So drop in the chat what you're sipping on, and we're going to keep moving today. So Abby.
Yeah.
You are the founder of Steps. So now, before we go any further, tell me what Steps is. What is Steps? Because I think it stands for something too, right?
It does. It stands for Standing Together, Empowering Our Present Self.
Yeah. Acronym.
Gotta love a good acronym.
That's the acronym. I like a good acronym. All right. So now, Eddie and I met from my current employer. We've done some work together, and we have some upcoming work that we'll be talking about later on throughout the show. But Abby, long before you and I met, you started this nonprofit. So tell us what made you start this nonprofit?
There's several reasons that I started this nonprofit. So many factors that are just near and dear to my heart. One being my brother Sam. Sam was born with tuberous sclerosis, which leaves him unable to care for himself. So watching the struggles of my mother trying to care for a handicapped son and raise two kids alone, it was pretty hard. So trying to find the resources to care for a child with a mental illness was also one of the huge disconnects within our community. So I knew then that I wanted to make a difference in that way of trying to help other people who had a hard time gaining resources to kind of connect them to the right people. As I continue to go on my path of learning, I always loved working with kids. And I just always found myself, no matter what job I had, I just constantly surrounded myself with children. And it's because of that that I kind of learned to understand their troubles. And I became the person that they would come to seek advice. So I knew that our at-risk youth were in need of a lot of help. And I just tried to find resources in that way too. So being with that being said, I'm currently now in school for clinical mental health counseling.
Nice.
So that I can help Grow Steps Foundation into being that mentor for those students and helping bridge the gap between the mental health resources that is hard for a lot of our students to find and get into. And also with helping to curb the stigma of Black mental health. Because we know that that's a huge stigma and issue. Just being more of an advocate and helping people to see the brighter side of it, while also encouraging and engaging our youth and families and making more of a connection with them, because a lot of those connections stem from home, and a lot of it is because they don't know how to communicate with each other. So helping to bring those communications forward through programs and life skills, and just I just always see a need to help, and that's what I try to do, is find ways to help and bring resources.
All right, and I like that. I like that. So let's back up because you said a lot in that. So we're going to dissect that just a little bit. But before we move, I see that we have some new viewers. So want to say hello to everybody. This is the Vision and Vino podcast live stream. I'm your host, Mashara Bianca, with Visionary today, Abby. If you are joining us, please, please, please drop what you're sipping in the chat. It is called Vision and Vino for a reason, because I am sipping on good grapes. All right. The number one rule on this show is we do not judge. So if you're drinking water or you're drinking liquor, that is all on you. All right. So Abby is telling us about her nonprofit, which is STEPS. And so STEPS stands for, tell us again.
Standing Together, Empowering Our Present Self.
Okay, and so you came up with that because you said one of the things you saw was your brother. You have a brother that suffers has some mental health challenges, right? And so you created this foundation. Now, one of the things I know that you all do is you work with youth primarily, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so you are getting them together to do workshops. So what, with your program, what can a participant expect from working with your program?
So we're helping to put together life skills programs for the students to be able to basically live once they get outside of high school. Because one of the biggest things that we see in our area is a lot of the life skills classes that high schools used to provide, they don't anymore. So kids, they ultimately don't know how to survive when they graduate, and they still are dependent on mom and dad to help them or to guide them, because they don't have a lot of those basic skills, whether it's resume writing or interviewing skills or learning basic finances to make sure that they, we always heard save for a rainy day, right?
Right.
But how do you really know how to save for that rainy day? And what I absolutely loved is that I know last week you had Lachey on, and she is awesome.
Snap on that. She's actually watching the podcast right now. So we just saying hey to you, girl, because it's amazing. I almost text you a couple of times, but I said,
yes, and I love that she has 8 cents in a jar, and I love the story behind why she created 8 cents in a jar, because it's so needed and necessary. Like, we weren't raised, and our parents weren't raised to give that information to us. So it's important that we kind of start our kids off now with those values and those goals to help them, move along through life.
Yeah, let's back up for a minute, because I believe in being 100% transparent. So one of my jobs before I started working with the amazing company that I'm with now was case management. And I used to work with it. Of course, when you do case management, there are certain demographics that you work with. And one of the things that I learned really fast was that they weren't prepared. They were not prepared, and they could not prepare their children for what was next. And I mean that in every sense, just simple things like, my daughter comes to me all the time and is wanting me to help some of her college friends fill out financial aid forms. So they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Or they're wanting to kind of talk about careers and how they grow. And I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, it just seems like that once these children get out of high school, that's just it, right? And if you think our schools could be the ones that teaches them the basic skills, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
We're in trouble.
Yeah.
We know they're not doing it, and rightfully so. They may not have the time with everything else that they have to
Right.
do, right?
Right.
I love the fact that you're saying, let's be connected and let me kind of help guide you through, because this could be some tough times, especially if you don't know what's next. You made it out. I think we focus so much on just making sure that our kids make it out of high school that
Yep.
what's coming after high school. And I'm not even talking about college. I'm just talking about what's next.
Exactly.
What's next? What do you aspire to be as far as a career? How can we help you get on that path? Do you want to go to college? Maybe you don't want to do college. What are you going to
Exactly.
have those conversations? We don't. We excited that they made it through high school, and I get that, and I understand that, because again, I have a 22-year-old, and so our conversations are like different from the conversations that are being had in her friend's home. So, and so what you do is you're offering the opportunity for youth in that bracket to kind of continue to grow and figure out what their next move is going to be.
Yep. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because that is one of the life skills workshops that we have, is a college and VOTEC workshop. And it's not for us to promote a college. It's basically to help kids understand that there's other options. Because I think a lot of times when they're in high school, they're so pressured and pushed to, you got to go to college, but nobody's telling them that there's alternatives.
Come on, because I'm trying to be funny right now, but if your AC break down, the AC man making $125 an hour.
Exactly. But I'm like, there are so many trade programs that these kids can get into, and they're gonna make more than what most college degree people make.
Absolutely.
And they're not gonna be in as much debt.
Absolutely.
Going to the trade schools. So, I think that those things are just so important and not talked about enough.
Yeah. So share some of your experience. What was it like for you when you got out of high school? Now, I graduated in the great year of 1999. Okay. So I'm you didn't I got a little time on me. But what was that experience like for you, being fresh out of high school, trying to figure out what's next for you?
See, I graduated the great year of 2001. And I'm going to just go ahead and shout out Moore Haven, the little small town down there that nobody ever hear about.
All right.
Yeah. Yep, Glades County, born and raised.
Oh, yes. All right.
For me, because I was raised in such a small town, I will say I think the focus for me at that time was just get out.
Right.
There was nothing down there like I could see like people get stuck.
Yeah.
And you try to look for what is the potential growth there, and it's not much.
Right.
Like, unless you know somebody that knows somebody that's going to get you a well-paid job, you're literally busting your butt to receive next to nothing. So my goal was just, I wanted out.
Yeah.
And I left, and for me, it was a lot of stubbornness, because I'm gonna make it and I'm not going back.
Absolutely.
So no matter how many mistakes I made along the way, like, it was just that sheer determination of, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I can tell you I mismanaged money horribly, because the first thing that you do when you go on a college campus, they had them tables nicely set up and say,
That's the table, signing up.
So you get like 3-4 credit cards, because you're like, yeah, we balling. Yeah, you got to pay that
back. Yeah. Absolutely.
So it was a lot of bad choices, bad decisions, a lot of mismanagement and money. But I just look at those tosses and turns, and through those years, I suffered from depression too. So it's just one of those things where you're like, okay, if I can make it through this, I can make it through anything.
Absolutely.
And then you look at those situations and you say, now that I've made it through, what can I do to help the next person so that they don't make the same mistakes that I made?
Come on and tell us, speak.
So
that
leads back into Steps Foundation, because I'm like, everybody has a story to tell. It's just a matter of how they choose to tell it.
Right.
So I look at the things that I've been through in my life and the things that I've overcome and how I can benefit the next person and to prevent them from making those mistakes. Everybody's going to make a mistake.
Absolutely.
That's just human nature. Right. It's what you do with that determines where you go. And it doesn't define who you are.
Absolutely. Here's where I am with that. So first of all, if you're just joining, welcome to the Vision of Vino podcast. It is called Vision of Vino for a reason. That is because we sip wine, spill truth, and savor in the vision on this show. So I am sipping on some sangria from the vineyard of Cooper's Hall Winery Restaurant. And Abby is sipping on, what are you sipping on over there, Abby?
That red Moscato in the big glass.
Red Moscato in the big glass. We do not judge on this show. So if you are just joining us, go ahead and drop the track of what lovely beverage you're sipping on this evening. We love you. I see Lachey joined. She said she has some Stella Rose. That was her favorite. I think that's what she had. So again, just say hello if you're here, because we can't really see you, and please stick around for a little bit. So let me ask you this, Abby. One of the things that I found, and I think now that I have a 22-year-old, is I see a lot of people, especially parents, assuming that when their children are 18 that they're grown. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
I don't know if it's just because it's some about the number being 8, that's when you're grown. But there seems to be when you get 18, you're grown, you graduate from high school, and the tendency, especially in neighborhoods and communities of color, is to kind of push the children on out the door and let them start their life. I'm just gonna say at 18, okay. Still struggling to So I think a part of that has to do with the condition in our society that when kids get a certain age, that that you've done all the raising you need to do, and you just freely let them go on and move on to the next step. And I think Lachey and I talked about this on the last show, is that's so damaging for our youth. It's not preparing them for what's next, because what happens out here, they can't afford these apartments. They end up making crazy decisions that could ultimately affect them throughout their entire life.
Yep.
So the Steps Foundation is an organization that offers skills for those students. So what are some of the workshops and skills you all are offering?
So the workshop skills that we're offering is resume writing, interviewing skills, basic budgeting, finances, time management skills, because that's huge. A lot of kids don't know how to manage their time. And I think the most common misconception when you think about students is they're handheld in high school.
Okay. Yeah, true.
When they go to college, they're not handheld.
Right. Absolutely. Not at all.
And it's a hard adjustment, especially if you have a sheltered child.
Yeah.
It is so hard for them to adjust from being handheld to having a free-for-all. Right. And that's where you find that a lot of kids make a lot of common mistakes, because it's, oh my God, like now it's freedom, and they go wild because it's freedom in the forefront.
Right.
And that's why, like exactly what you said, the letting go of your child at 18 is just so not the thing to do. They still need that guidance. But having a good mentor can help with a lot of that too. So a lot of times it may not be mom and dad.
Right. Absolutely. A lot of times it's something that it can't be mom and dad, because they don't know anybody.
Exactly. So good mentors serve a huge purpose in that. And, honestly, that's another part of the direction of our program too, is like, I don't want to just toss our kids to the wayside once they graduate from high school. I want to continue to keep up with them throughout their college careers too, because they still need that assistance and they still need that help. So in the background, I want to be able to continue to have that support for them. And also they can come back and work as volunteers. So they can be a volunteer and still get some. So if they missed a workshop before, there's the opportunity for them to catch the workshop again. So I don't want to just throw them to the wayside, because there's still so many valuable lessons that 18, 19, and 20-year-olds can learn. And our workshop isn't even just all about the youth either. Like, we invite our parents to come in and be volunteers so that they can get those skills too. And it also helps to create a conversation in the home.
Yeah.
So we have that. We also have a stress management workshop and a self-care workshop to help kids understand how to take care of themselves, because one of the biggest killers in our community is stress.
Absolutely.
And a lot of us have no idea how to deal with or handle it. So we want to give them those basic tools to learn how to manage their self-care, so that they don't have that break. And then just to know that it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah, right. So let's talk about that piece right now, especially with everything that's going on. I think one of the things that I find interesting and probably challenging is how they're coping and connecting. I mean, because this is different. Having to be home 24/7. It's not like you have any outlets or anything like that. So what are some of the things now that you're seeing with the youth who are in your organization?
A lot of them, the transition from going to school and doing their homework at home has been hard for a lot of kids. They're missing that social interaction and that social connection. So yeah, we have our kids that, they're constantly connected to their cell phones. That's a given with this day and age. But nothing can really take the place of face-to-face interaction. And now that's kind of taken away.
Yeah.
So I see that is a common struggle for a lot of the kids, is missing that social interaction. So, you try to create ways of having that interaction. So I love that, like, they have a lot of games now that they've made apps for, where you can like play games with people online and like do it live, and just ways to connect people together so that they can do things that make them interact with each other. But that alone has been the biggest thing for a lot of our youth, is just missing the connections. And I think that was a bummer for us too, because our workshops are face-to-face workshops. Right. And so we had to push them all back because we can't because of social distancing. Yeah. So we're like, okay, don't worry, guys, we're gonna get together. We just gonna get together in August.
Yeah.
So that's been one of the biggest challenges, is that face-to-face interaction that a lot of people are missing. So at this point, we're pushing we're here for you. If you want to talk, you have a phone number that you can call, and because I'm in school for clinical mental health counseling, I'm also on the Florida Counseling Association as a region representative, and I'm putting together a list of resources for people to have also. So if they're in need of counseling, there's a lot of counselors that are offering free and reduced services. So if anybody needs that list, let me know, because I'll send it to you. But that's definitely important for our youth, because a lot of kids are having a hard time coping.
Yeah. I can imagine. So as a nonprofit, what are you finding right now are some of the things that you all need in order to continue to do the work you're doing?
We're in need of donations and volunteers, because I'm afraid that when this is all over and we get the ramp up, that it's going to be such a big need that we're not going to have enough volunteers to fill the need. Yeah. We're still continuing to reach out to different people and different organizations for partnerships and sponsorships, and we're now running a campaign for workshop sponsors. And then we're asking for people to sponsor a child also. So if they sponsor a child, then that covers the accessories and things that we're giving away when we actually start our workshops. But definitely, I'm all for having volunteers. I need the volunteers. So if you are ready and willing to volunteer with us, let us know. We would be happy to have you.
Okay, and so let me put the contact information up here so that people will know how to contact you. All right, there you are. Okay. All right. And so this is how people can find you and contact you. So one of the things that you and I have been working on is just offering classes virtually, and I'm really excited about that. That we've been able to partner with my employer to do some virtual workshops for your organization. Um,
Yes.
some of those are skill related, and then some of those are just stress relief workshops, just to be able to be engaged and connected with other people. So that's really an exciting opportunity. Um, how's it going for you as far as getting people to connect with your organization, students to come to you, and that sort of thing? Where are you located? Who's it for?
I am located in Osceola County. So,
Mhm.
and that's primarily the area that I was servicing. Now, I will say that, yes, parents, we hear you loud and clear. Because a lot of parents have asked, I've had parents asking out of Orange County, can they bring their kids? Yes, you can bring your kids. I will never turn away a kid. I chose to keep it located in Osceola County because there's not enough happening in Osceola County for our youth. I see a lot of different nonprofits doing a lot of great things in Orange County, but I hardly ever see anything happening in Osceola County for our kids. So I wanted to help create that dynamic for our kids to have something to go into and something that was going to be beneficial and helpful. Um, so I'm happy that you partner with us to, and especially to bring virtual options because it helped us expand a lot. Because I think about, of course, the town that I was raised in. They don't have resources down there like this.
Make sure I get somebody information. I'm gonna sure reach out. See what we can.
And they need it. They need it.
Yeah.
And they were so happy when I said, hey, I'm extending these services down there to you guys. So if you have kids, sign them up. And I definitely have a person for you to connect with down there because they have at-risk youth that need these programs. And there's nobody there to give it to them. So I'm happy to be that resource and send something back to my hometown that they could use and definitely engage their kids in. And they're so happy, like they're thrilled. Like the first few that signed up were from my hometown, and they are so excited just to have something new to learn. And,
Okay.
a new, and yeah, so I'm excited for them, and I'm definitely happy.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely make sure that when the show's over, that I get that contact information so we can get some context down there. And again, the great thing about being able to do things virtually is that it's just that it's virtually. It can expand anywhere. Like I told you earlier, I did a workshop last week, and it was young ladies there from Johannesburg, Africa. I mean
Right.
Johannesburg, Africa, right? So
Yeah.
it's not their time, so they were really interested. I mean, they was up doing this workshop. But let's back up for a minute. So you're working with at-risk youth. What are some of the challenges that these at-risk youth are facing?
When you think at risk youth, you think a lot of them, they don't have the resources, and a lot of them sometimes you may think aren't really interested. But they're interested if they're presented the opportunity.
Right.
So a lot of times they're not given the opportunity to do other programs or to learn other skills or to do other things. But when you present it to them, they become interested. So a lot of our at-risk youth is just a lack of resources. So we have to be creative in bringing things to them, and then be creative in how we deliver the information.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's kind of what we're working on, is the creative pieces, like making sure that we stay engaged with them and keep them engaged and keep them doing things, and just definitely the mentoring aspect of it, staying in constant connection with them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. I think one of the things that I often consider is that when you start to build relationship with these youth, especially since you're talking about transitioning with them outside of high school, it's not like this is just the end of the world program. You have to kind of continue to work with them throughout so that you can continue to offer that support and that guidance. Um,
Exactly.
I mean, I honestly, I heard what you said. There are a lot of organizations within Central Florida that are geared and focused on at-risk youth. But to be honest, I still don't think it's enough. We just
It's
heard
not.
about a couple of some shootings that killed some young people in the
Yep.
past week in the midst of the COVID. So
Yep.
start to think about that. One of the things I always think about, especially within this past couple of weeks since all of the shootings and stuff, was just kind of like, how can I be an impact to that demographic, because they are hungry, they need something else. They
Yep.
need an outlet. They need to know that there is another way. That you success. First of all, there needs to be a conversation about what success looks like. I think that overall we taught our youth that as long as they got money and they driving in something nice or they dress nice or whatever,
Yep.
that they're successful. And I'm like, that is not
That's
successful.
not successful. Exactly.
I think that being able to have those transparent conversations with you about what success looks like. Success means you're able to support yourself. Success means that you're a good
Yep.
citizen. Success means that you're responsible. Success means you make good decisions and choices. You
Yep.
know, those things are successful. And so again, I think that when they don't have anyone to kind of help guide them, then they kind of make up their
Yep.
own definition of what it looks like. And so
Exactly.
for me, I can say that I made some decisions in my younger years that I thought was based on success, but I was able to grow through. And I say grow through because I had to grow up, right?
Yep.
A lot
Yep.
of people don't have the opportunity to grow through anymore.
Exactly.
That is
Exactly.
what baffles me is, now these mistakes are that you dying.
Yeah.
You're dying. It ain't no okay. Well, we're gonna try this again, or you dying.
Exactly.
Um,
But see, that's the thing, though. We have to now show them what the definition of success is, because they're basing their definition of success off of what they're surrounded by
right.
and what they see. So we have to now again become creative
Yeah.
in showing them what another definition of success is, because you know it's easy for people to say you're not a product of your environment, but unless you've lived in that environment,
Right.
you have no idea.
You know what? I had this conversation with somebody else. So I used to live. I don't know if you familiar with Paramore.
Yes.
So I used to live in Griffin Park, right off Paramore. Right before I got the house we live in now. And so when I tell you it was the hardest thing for me to move there, because I was just like, oh my God, I don't want this to be a part of my children's story that we've lived in the projects and da 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 da. But at the end of the day, I had to do what I had to do, and I did what I had to do. We kept it moving. But I remember having this conversation for a previous employer I worked for, and we would do these job fairs, and the young women would come in and they would have on club clothes, stilettos and tight
Yep.
shoes. And I heard somebody say, well, a coworker was like, look how they dress. Why would they come in here like that? And so on the flip side of that, somebody who's been in that environment, I understand
Yep.
why they come in there like that. I said, well, first of all, she probably watches things like Atlanta Housewives or Basketball Wives. Where this is what these people
Yep.
do on an everyday basis. This how they look on an everyday basis. So if the only person you see getting up doing something is somebody that's dressed like this on a regular basis, when you get ready to put your best foot forward, this is what your best foot forward looks like.
Looks like exactly.
This is what your best foot forward
Yep.
looks like. So the reason that they're in here dressed like they're going to the club is because nobody has told them, hey,
Exactly.
that's inappropriate for this right here. And so as somebody who grew up with a lot of adult people who had some things to say about me, it irks my nerves when I hear adults talking about youth, or
Yep.
I'm not even going to say youth, just people who are younger than you and who don't have the same experience and exposure as you. That bothers me wholeheartedly, because I'm like, we can teach them.
And what are we doing to help them?
What are we doing to help them? So
Yep.
again, I'm super excited about what your organization is doing, because it's about the impact.
Yep.
It's about the impact. Again, being able to connect with them and seeing, understanding, knowing their background. Because as you said before, you came from Belgrade, Florida.
No, I didn't come from Belgrade. I came from Moore Haven.
More
Glades
hate.
County.
Okay. My point is, because I think we got a documentary on Blake on y'all going that's all the more point is you already know when you come from these situations and these environments, it's easier to say, well, why they just want to do this, or they can change this real quick. But if you don't know, you don't know.
Exactly. Exactly.
No. So I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing. And I love that you're extending that and helping our youth. So what can we expect to see coming up from Steps?
What we have coming up, we have our digital art workshop coming up. We painting, y'all.
Come on,
Digital
Paige.
paint party.
Absolutely.
So I am looking forward to the digital paint party. The kids are excited about the digital paint party, so they are definitely looking forward to that too. Um, and then we have our Start Your Own Business workshop. And this is near and dear to me because, you know, there's a lot of kids with a lot of dreams and visions.
Yeah.
But a lot of those visions die because they don't have the amount of support they need.
Uh,
So I am looking forward to that because I want to help them to grow in their vision and to grow in their dream.
okay.
So it's just that one's gonna be near and dear to me, and I actually look forward to doing that because I was that young dreamer.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of us were. And that's why, again, that's why the Vision of Vino podcast is so important to me because I understand that without like you got to have some kind of vision about something, or you are really just stuck. Like you
Yep.
have to have a vision as to what is the next. And hence the reason the acronym for vision is, let me put that back up. We're gonna black face just a minute, but
It's okay.
hence the reason that the vision acronym is this. Vision stands for a victorious idea strategically inspired to overcome needs. That means that there was a need in your life that
Yep.
it has got to be something better for me. And I know for me, that was the same thing. It
Yep.
was the same thing for me. Like, hey, I got to change some things. I can't, it has to be something else for me. So
Yeah.
I see that we have some new viewers, so thank you for joining us. Again, if you're just joining, this is the Vision and Vino podcast. I'm the host, Mashara Bianca, and today's visionary is Abby, Steps of the founder of Steps, which is a nonprofit organization here in the Central Florida area. The show is called Vision and Vino for a reason, and that's really simple because we sip wine, spill our truth, and savor our vision. So if you are sipping on anything, go ahead and drop it in the chat. I see Tiara said that she's sipping on water. Again, Tiara, we do not judge. This is a
Not at all.
you sip on whatever makes you feel good. Wine makes me feel great. And so we're sipping on wine. Have you found that your organization has been met with a lot of interest, people who are coming and youth that are coming in?
I have. It's been slowly coming, but we've definitely been met with some. The Microsoft programs have helped tremendously because we were in the beginning stages of going out and gathering these kids. It was crazy because we had just did our kickoff party in February, and then COVID-19 said, "Sit down."
Oh, girl, it set everybody down. Listen. It set the whole world down. So don't. Yeah.
I'm not complaining. I am definitely not complaining because out of this came some great things. So, once we started, partnering with you guys and then you came out with the yes, we can go virtual. I'm like, yes, that's going to give us something to engage the youth now so that we can get them involved and help create the dynamic that they need and keep them going. Absolutely. So once you gave us that, the kids started coming. So it's definitely exciting to me because I'm looking forward to helping these kids grow and pushing it to help them excel in every way possible that they can. So.
I tell people all the time, I have done community outreach and development probably for the past 7 or 8 years in different capacities for different nonprofits and that sort of thing. And so when I was able to connect with Microsoft, who is my current employer, and do community outreach and development, I understood on a whole new level how big that was for not just for me, but for my community. And when I say my community, I mean people that look like me, live like me, their experience their experiences are similar. And so for me, now I want to get all emotional, but this is something that's so passionate for me because I'm like, you have the ability now to connect these communities with a global organization and do some amazing things. Like the impact that comes with that is absolutely amazing. To be able to give them exposure to different kinds of technology, different programs, like that's amazing.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you, because when you called me that day, I cried like a big old baby. I was at work crying like a big old baby, but at the same time, I was sitting there thanking God, because I'm like, it's amazing when you have other people that believe in your dream as much as you do, and other people who believe in making an impact just as much as you do. And that's literally all I want, is like, if you can come in and show me that you believe in what I'm doing, and then you got my back, like, I'm excited, I'm happy, like, and I'm an excited person to begin with. So
you're so bubbly, and I love it.
So it's just amazing the amount of support that Steph's Foundation has received from so many people, and it's been amazing. Like, I can't thank God enough, because I think that some great things are going to come out of this for these kids.
I know some great things are going to come out of it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see just how far it goes. It is almost that time where we're getting ready to toast out the show, but Tanisha says she is drinking a Menage a Trois Sweet Red. Now listen, Tanisha, because I've seen the Menage a Trois, and because you missed the beginning of the thing where I said it got to be sweet, okay? I know they say that if you drink sweet wine, you gotta wine drinker, but this grape lover here needs a good old sweet grape, okay? So now, Tanisha, I'm gonna go get this Menage a Trois, and it better be sweet. Okay. All right. So I just want you to understand, I'm going based off your recommendation, because I saw the bottle in the vineyard of Publix the other day. It don't look like it's sweet. It don't look sweet. But you just because you said that. So Abby, go ahead and hold up your glass. Bring it in. Toast to this. And as we get ready to toast out the show, I always put people on the spot, so don't bear with me when I do this, but I want you to give our viewers one thing you like for them to savor in, one piece of advice that they need to savor in for this show.
Don't give up on your dream. If you have it, follow it and keep going. See it through.
Absolutely. Tanisha, she's laughing. She says, okay. So you saying don't give up on your dreams. If you see it, follow through. What about our youth? What would you tell our youth?
Same thing. Don't give up. Because a lot of times I know that our youth, once they hit a roadblock, they think that that's their time to stop. It's not your time to stop. When you get pushed down, get right back up and try again. And just know that you have people in your corner that support you, even if you don't see them.
Absolutely. I posted something on Facebook that I shared the other day. It's a thing that's going around that says don't give up, don't stop, because they watching or whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, people watch all the time. You'll be surprised because I get people that say, hey, I saw your show. And I'm like, well, you ain't clicked the like button, but that's me being petty, so I won't do it. I'm working it. I have to pay them. Like, you know, the show whatever. Yes. People are watching. You don't know, so you continue to do whatever you need to do in order to make that vision happen. So we're gonna go ahead and toast this episode out. This is the nonprofit edition of the Vision and Vino podcast. We thank you for joining us today, and we hope that we can inspire you to start to look at your own life and create a vision for yourself. Please join us in 2 weeks. As I have, it was supposed to be this week, but he's going to be on in 2 weeks. The first man to ever be on the Vision and Vino podcast is going to be sharing his nonprofit with us and what he's doing to make a change with that nonprofit. So I'm super excited about having him on the show, and we'll talk about that in 2 weeks. Abby, thank you so much for joining us. I cannot wait. We have some things coming up this week that we'll be partnering on, so I can't wait to partner with you. So with that, we're going to close out. So thank you for joining us, visionaries. Remember to sip wine and savor. Good night, visionaries.
Good night.